Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. I have to tell you, I am so excited today. You know I love what I do. And I love talking about mindset. That's what I do. I'm a mindset mentor. I help people with strategies. And where your mind is, we talk about this a lot on Healthy Lifestyle, really matters to how your physical body reacts to that. And today we have the great Melissa Golde on, who is going to talk to us about energy, vibrations, and really what the mind can do and what our bodies actually can do for us if we just let it. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Lori Anne, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. Really, when we started talking, Anthony Pamila's daughter, Danielle, is out in California and told me about you. And I was so excited to hear about what you do. And she was explaining it to me. And I was like, I would love to talk to her. And she's actually the one who gave me the idea to have you on the show. So I appreciate it. You have traditional education. You're a doctor of physical therapy, right? And you've dived deeper in your evolution personally and professionally that led you to this practice. And I believe you call it an integrative and intuitive bodywork.
Yes.
And you have about 15 years experience working with people and all of these different tools that you've acquired, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm very fortunate. I love what I do.
Yeah. Oh, yes, me too. And it's funny because you use a lot of similar modalities that I do. You use tapping and Reiki and a bunch of different modalities we'll get down to. But explain to everyone what it is that you do and what you call yourself.
Yes. So I guess the best way I can describe it is ever since I was a kid, I've kind of been almost obsessed with how amazing the body is, the human body and the brain, and how incredible it is at sort of like going through everyday life and healing from things and just sort of surviving. I think it's an amazing feat, and I think the body's incredible. And for 15 years, I've been lucky enough to work with people, and I've been helping them heal their physical bodies. But I'd say probably in the last 10 years, I've been more drawn to a more holistic approach to healing. I see a lot of people in chronic pain. Yeah. And chronic pain is something acute pain, right? Like you have an accident, you have a cut, you have a broken bone. I'm not going to call my acupuncturist, right? Like I'm going to go to the hospital, I'm going to have surgery, I'm going to have something to address that acute issue. But this thing came up where people are having pain for 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah. If the tissue has already healed, what's going on in the body? And so I was just drawn to trying to figure out, why is this happening? It's got to be something deeper. So I've been very lucky to be exposed to a lot of amazing mentors in the holistic approach. And I've come to realize that there's so many different things that our body is using, and there's different stresses. There's mechanical stress, there's emotional stress, there's chemical stress from the foods we eat. So our body's trying to navigate all these things. And so it's just learning to, realize the root cause of why we're having symptoms, and then using also the power of our mind. And like you said, mindset, and be able to get our head and our body connected in the same wavelength and the same purpose to allow that healing to happen really from the inside out.
Yeah, without a doubt. So years ago, when I was quite young, I recognized that if I didn't take my temperature, I didn't feel as sick. As soon as I took a temperature, I felt like I needed to lay down on the couch. Yes. So it really is, that's a very simplistic example of what our mindset can be. And I was talking to a doctor from Northwell Health. I'm sure you've heard of that group. And I was talking to him about the patients going into the hospital based on this recent epidemic that we have. And I said, how much of it, because he was a heart doctor, I said, how much of this is fear anxiety and stress that's causing extra stress on the heart that's having people have this. And he said it's all anxiety based. And he said, and I'm telling my patients, shut off the TV, stop listening to things that are negative. You need to really look at what you can actually control in your life, and that changes your energy. And that's why I do things like gratitude journals in the morning. It starts my day in such a really appreciative, happy way, and I have so much to be grateful for. So what is your thoughts on that? And also help us define what chronic pains and can it actually heal?
Yes. So one of the greatest examples that kind of hit home for me was I'm a geek, right? I love science. I love evidence-based stuff.
Yeah.
And I started to notice in every single article, let's say they're testing a pharmaceutical, right? So there's the group that gets the medication and there's the group that gets the placebo as the control group, right?
Right.
And there's so many times that you see very similar outcomes between the actual chemical medication and the placebo group. So what does that mean, right? Is our brain that powerful that we can take a sugar pill or get a saline injection or get a sham surgery, but believe that we have been given something to heal us, right? So basically what happens is our brain produces from our natural pharmacy inside of our bodies the things that we think we're ingesting. And so just even the idea of hope or just the idea of, oh, I really can heal, that's possible, can actually facilitate healing.
Yeah.
So how simple and amazing is that? Because every single study has that control group. So there has to be a reason for that. And so chronic pain is just us, and kind of like you said with the news, right? Like if we're being fed constantly this broadcast of fear and we are dependent on, something outside of us to prevent our bodies from failing us, how do we not become victims? How do we not, adopt the victim mentality if that's what we're being fed?
Well, there's something very specific in the way you said it, because we adopt a victim mentality. Yeah. So it's a mindset. It goes back to that mindset and the importance of the role of the mindset in healing, that we can heal ourselves. Now, there are some things, like you said, broken bones, things like that. That's not going to heal like that. But when muscles are sore and when we have things going on in our body, people like my mom, for example, my mom lived 3 years longer than the doctors ever thought she would because she had such a positive mindset and she wasn't, as she would say, I'm not going to let this get me down. And boy, oh boy, she did not. She kept playing tennis. And this is after chemo treatments.
Amazing.
Yeah. And she would get up and I was just like, okay, I don't know how you're doing this, but really, really strong woman inside and out and just a kind soul. And she, I say a lot on this show that when I'm having a bad day or I'm feeling down, I'll go and help somebody else and it'll distract me. It'll get my mind off of whatever it is that I was obsessing on. Because we really do spend a lot of time doing that, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so easy to fall down that cycle, right? We're programmed from a very young age. And depending, what your upbringing is, there's all different levels of our exposure. But we're programmed to be attached to the concrete, something we can expect, something we can predict, right? So even if that means fear, pain, anxiety, guilt is our steady state, at least it's predictable, right? It almost becomes more scary to be well. And I see that with a lot of my clients who are in chronic pain that I will ask them, I'm like, can you even imagine being well? Can you visualize that in your body? And some of them feel like, I don't even know who I am without pain. And that's just a whole new layer that we have to explore because it's true. It becomes our identity.
Yeah, it's all that they've ever known. So if you've ever had a lower back pain or some kind of pain that's constant, when you don't have it, it's like, okay, what's happening here? And you're kind of off kilter, right?
Completely.
So how do our emotions play a role in that physical pain? Help us understand that.
Yes. Well, it's really, really interesting. So one of my favorite teachers, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he speaks a lot about this. And he says that thoughts are the language of our brain and emotions are the language of our body, right? So we feel in our body and we think in our heads. So the idea is that what happens is when we have an experience in our life, we have an actual experience and then we have an emotion attached to that, right? So it could be something wonderful and joyous or something traumatic and scary. but no matter what, that's going to create a memory in our body. And so they're finding now that the emotions actually are stored in the tissues, and they create density in the tissue. It's like stuck energy within our connective tissue. And what happens over time, if there's density or stuckness, if you could think about like having a clogged pipe, right? Like it just keeps backing up and backing up and backing up.
Sure.
Until, whatever, your toilet overflows. That's like a crude example, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So eventually, something simple like a unresolved feeling of guilt, or emotions that you put down because as a kid you were told not to cry because that's weakness. You start to hold that, and it builds up and builds up and builds up. And before you know it, you're 30 years old and you have chronic low back pain, but you have no idea why. But your body's been storing that emotion in your tissue.
Yeah.
So now it's like a message from your body, like it's time to pay attention.
And I'm seeing a lot of people now, because of everything that we're going through, that dis-ease that everybody is at, it's their empowerment is being pulled from them, that people are so fear-based, and some people want us that way. And I won't give in to something like that, to be fear-based and not be inspired to utilize what I can control and what I can do and be positive and continue to go on. So through it all, people were just like, why are you still doing the radio show? Why are you doing what you're doing? And it was because that's the best way for me to continue, is just keep doing what I do and what I have control in. So I think that role of the mindset, and I know that that's very healing, but also doing meditation. I am a huge proponent of meditation. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness. And it's funny because I started off as kind of like I can't sit still. I can't do that. My mind's too busy. And, there came a point in my life where I realized that was really when I needed to sit down, slow down. And also there is also the idea of, meditation doesn't have to be a monk in an ashram, right? Like not all of us are fortunate enough to be able to go to the Himalayas and disappear from the earth. So it's about allowing householders and regular people and CEOs and moms and everybody be able to become mindful. So when I teach my clients meditation, I try to instill in them that it doesn't have to look like being quiet and breathing. Although that is an amazing form of it, it can also be going outside in nature, becoming aware of your surroundings. Like you said, having a gratitude journal. There's nothing more powerful than being in a state of gratitude. That's when we can receive. You know what I mean? That's like the most amazing state and frequency to be able to receive. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that we get back what we give out. You know what I mean? It's a magnet.
120% agree with you. That is absolutely true. I was disappointed in something recently, and I went right to my journal and started writing, gratitude. So I was grateful, and I kept writing that. And as I was going through, by the time I got to the fifth thing I was grateful for, I could just feel a difference in my whole body, and I didn't allow it. I changed that camera lens, if you will, from being in my ego to my observer, and I just remember, being grateful for everything that I have, and I just kept writing until I got to that sense of calm. And like you said, it doesn't have to be, you see all white, you close your eyes, you see all white. I have a lot of chatter in my head, so I had to teach myself to dismiss it, acknowledge it, dismiss it, and then just be quiet and be with myself. And I think the best thing that I was taught when I first started meditating was just listening to my own breath, or listening to the hum of an air conditioner, just something that was repetitive, that you just focus on that. And if you could do that, and you start slow, you don't go into doing 3 hours straight. Who has time for that? But the people who go to the Himalaya mountains apparently do, but you and I are busy. So just doing it, even for 3 minutes. I know I teach Kundalini yoga, and so I have, as a mentoring tool, I have a 3-minute Kundalini Kriya that I have them do every morning before they start their day. That is how they start their day. And it starts it in the right way, and add a little essential oil, add a little gratitude journal, you're on, and some affirmations, and you have a perfect dish to start your day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why not set the stage? If we have the ability to create, if we can use our thoughts and our behaviors and our choices to create dis-ease, why not use that same power to create something amazing? You know what I mean? It's like such a amazing opportunity.
And it sounds so cliche. It sounds so cliche, but it is a new day. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is a new day. And you don't even have to wait till tomorrow. The next minute you could do it in. So, so we have a chance to change the direction of how we're feeling and elevate our vibration anytime we want to. So to that end, let's talk about energy and medicine.
Yes. So I think one of the coolest things, and they're starting to do a lot more research now, is that in quantum physics, we're starting to learn that a lot of what we experience is not necessarily measurable, right? It's not in the traditional medical model of something we can touch and feel and see with our five senses, right? So there's this whole idea of, not an idea, it's a fact that our atoms are 99.9999999% energy, right?
Okay.
Empty space. And so we can make a choice to switch our energy. We can make a choice to, like you said, even if we can come to our breath, if we can learn to move our energy from the lower energy centers or chakras, if you will, where we, can be in fear or survival, and move them up into our heart and move them up into places where we can utilize them for something that's of a higher vibration, right? So love, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, things like that, using the emotion to connect with the thought and create sort of a mind-body coherence and allow that to facilitate the healing in our body.
Yeah, I love it. Tell us a story about, obviously not using names, but one of your clients and what they came in with and how they go out.
Oh, so when somebody comes in to see me for the first time, I always have them do what's called a body map. So I give them a piece of paper that has two sides of the body, and it's like a blank, just like an outline of a physical body, right? And I ask them to write or draw on their body where they're experiencing discomfort, pain, tension, what have you. And it becomes a moment where they, like you said, become the witness or become the observer of their body outside of them, right? They're now creating this image of what they're feeling. And then I have them look at it and I ask them how they feel when they look at that image. And a lot of times people are like, wow, that looks really overwhelming. That looks, I'm feeling hopeless. This feels like too much. We can't do it. And then I ask them what they would like to create. How do you want to feel when you leave today? Because I want them to tap into a different reality for themselves. What are the possibilities? And so when they're on the table, when I'm guiding them through a body scan or a guided meditation, I'm using those words that they've given me in the body map and in their creation, and I'm starting to use neurolinguistics, right? I'm starting to use certain words to help them reprogram their subconscious. So if this is a specific example, I had a young woman come in who had a history of sexual trauma. And she had a lot of lower back pain, pelvic pain. Young woman, but she'd already had pain for like 10 years. She'd been to every doctor. They can't find a traditional diagnosis. So throwing all of these sort of umbrella diagnoses at her, fibromyalgia, PCOS, all of these things that are sort of cause unknown diagnoses.
Right.
And so it's really an exercise in self-awareness and bringing your attention to your body and listening to that inner guidance. And so I teach people to not only listen to their bodies, but actually put their hands on their own bodies and use their ability to move their energy, right? Like we can give ourselves Reiki. There's no like magical wand that we have when we're doing this. We all have the energy and that life force within us. So this particular woman, she hadn't had her period in 5 years. And so she's breathing to her pelvis and we're doing visualization and she's massaging her own belly. And the next day she called me and she said she got her period.
Oh my.
We're talking like 5 years this girl didn't have her period because she had all this energy stuck and this fear and this unknown, and no one's able to help her. But as soon as we were able to shift the empowerment back to her and trusting her own body, just like that, And that's because we're all energy.
Yeah.
Right? You can shift at the speed of light.
Yeah. 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 And I love that we are working more in energy and vibration, and we're seeing a turn right now because we are all in an ascension, and it's whether or not we choose to go along with it. So that's being aware of how you vibrate, and that's being aware of how you feel, and you can only control you. So I want to continue this conversation with Miss Melissa Golde. This is Lori Anne Casdia. You are listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I'm really excited about speaking with Melissa Golde, and also you can look her up if you want to get more information. Melissa Golde, DPT.com, and that's GOLDE. And unbelievable conversation. I want to continue the conversation about energy medicine and how we can elevate our vibration and some of the other modalities she uses, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lori Anne. If you have any question, comments, or ideas you'd like to hear more about, please email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com or follow us on social media at Healthy Lifestyle with LA. Obviously, we are live streaming on Facebook. Hey, peeps. And we look forward to getting your questions or answering your questions. I hope you're enjoying the show because I know I am. We're talking all about different ways to approach our bodies, traditional physical therapy versus emotional and energetic medicine. And we have the great Melissa Golde on. Melissa, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to jump right back in. So we were talking about energy medicine, but how does that fit in with your physical therapy doctor degree that you have?
Yes, so that is a great question. So in my traditional education, which I'm so grateful for, but it was very, let's just say a very myopic approach, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody comes in with knee pain. You look at their knee, you do this cocktail of things, and you don't really ask them or treat anything else. And so I did that for about 5 years, and I was able to help some people on the surface, but I didn't see people really healing, really getting better, really, not getting past, like I said, as long as it wasn't something that was, blunt force trauma, and then once that heals, you're fine. But if it was something any deeper than that, I found that you really do need to integrate healing from a holistic approach. The body has an important story to tell, and we have to listen to the whole story and sort of broaden our focus of looking at it's a whole person, right? It's not just one body part that hurts. It's a whole person.
Well, isn't that why they always say to us that you are your best doctor because you know your body the best? So you need to take control of that, be your own advocate, and let the medical professions know everything that you possibly can so they can kind of connect those dots as well with you.
Absolutely. I mean, we give a lot of our power away to an authority in a white coat. And of course you should follow good medical attention, and direction, but we do give our power away, and we can become disempowered by a prognosis, and we just assume that's our destiny. And what if it wasn't? What if there was a possibility of something different? That's what I always encourage people to tune into.
And that also goes to relationships. There's a lot of energy in relationships. And I know that, we all have a masculine side and a feminine side. Those energies are within us. So once we acknowledge that we have both of those, everybody has both of those, how can we utilize those energies to really create that healing process in ourselves?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. This is such a fun, geeky side note of things that I love.
Can you tell I'm geeky too? I'm like, tell me how it works.
I love it. So you know what? I sort of as a side hobby, I loved studying polarity and the idea of that we have this integration of the masculine and feminine energies within us, right? We have 7 energy centers within our body that govern different emotions and different body parts and different, like I said, masculine and feminine energies. And I think in the world that we live now, we are asked as women and as men to tune into all of those energies, right? So we're moms and we're CEOs and we're caregivers for our parents, and we have to do all of this stuff now, right? Dads are active participants. So there's not those like traditional masculine, feminine roles anymore. And I think the idea is to learn how to love it all, right? I love that part of me that takes action and has willpower and has control of, to getting things done. But I also love the part of me that likes to flow and be creative. And so it's the idea of recognizing that we have all of these energies within us and loving all of them and learning to integrate all of them.
Yeah, there's obviously there's a balance in that integration. So, and some people don't like the masculine in some people. So men typically don't enjoy it when women are very strong and use their masculine side. But it's really important to be able to focus on that and appreciate that. I know I have a circle of women who do a Kundalini gathering with us, and they're all amazingly strong women who, if they needed to be on their own or were on their own, they would be on their own and could easily survive, whereas they make good partners for their husbands or significant others because they are whole within themselves. And I think that's something that we're not taught at a young age. We're taught to take on these roles as opposed to be whole within ourselves, because the best relationships I've ever acknowledged and recognized were those where both partners were whole within themselves, and then together they made each other even better.
It's so true. And there's this idea of energetic agility, right? To create polarity within a couple where we can be, resonant with our partner. So my husband and I also practice Kundalini, so I hear everything that you're saying. But
girl.
It's incredible. So we can, tune into our own energies. And when we want to work together and get something done as a team, we'll be in that same sort of masculine, get it done kind of energy. But if we want to create polarity and be a couple and, then I'll soften a little bit and he'll take more of that masculine role. And so it's creating that agility within a couple too, and you realize that when you become whole in yourself. And so you're 100% right there. Yeah,
there's no intimidation involved in it. And it's almost like a dance, because you just instinctively know, and there's not really thought behind it. You just shift into the different roles. And it's really beautiful when you have a good partner and you're working with them that way.
It's a great analogy. The dance is the perfect analogy for that.
So with that said, and thank you for saying that. With that said, what is your favorite, who would be a client of yours?
Oh, that's such a good question. So if I had to manifest my perfect client, and I actually have so many of them right now, I'm so blessed. When I have a clarity call with somebody before they come in, my first thing is I want to see if they are even open to the idea of healing. Do they feel like that's a possibility for themselves? And are they willing to be an active participant? I did spend a long time working with people who wanted me to fix it for them. And that's a really hard space to be in, because I am an empath through and through. And so I can become emotionally attached to an outcome of working with someone.
Sure.
And if we're on different wavelengths, if you will, if I know there's a possibility of you healing and I'm excited for you, but you're sure this is your destiny and you're just going to, be a victim of chronic pain for the rest of your life. Now I've been given a role that I really cannot fulfill for you.
Right.
Because you don't even believe it's possible.
Right.
And so I love working with people who are open. I love working with people who are active participants. I love working with people who are just open to something different and being part of the process.
It's funny that you say active participants, because I have 3 when I work with people. I have 3 requirements when I'm going to work with them in an advisory position or a mentoring position, or if we're going to work on some kind of strategy. And the 3 requirements are: they have to have a fire in their belly, they have to have a desire to succeed, and then the most important, they have to show up for them. And at the end of the show, I always have my tagline that I always use, which is show up for you and show up big. And the reason is, if you're not showing up, why am I showing up? I shouldn't have more invested in this process than you do, because it's really a process for you. I'm just there to help facilitate and give guidance and maybe help you jump a couple of hurdles that you could avoid if you pay attention and if you choose to. Some people choose not to avoid those hurdles. Some of them need to have, not jump the hurdles, but actually crash into them. And that's okay, because that's a learning curve. And, the only difference between fail and fall, and I like to fall forward, is one line. If you put a little foot on the I in fail, you have the word fall. So those kind of things are really important to me. So really, when I do what you refer to as a clarity call, and I love that phrase, and I will be using it, by the way. When you have those calls, when I have my consultations, I really look to hear and see action takers and people who really are in it and who are going to invest in themselves. And I don't mean money investment.
Yes.
I really mean energy investment, that they're really going to show up for them. And with that, we can teach them anything. We can bring you anywhere you want to be, because there's that possibility. And that does have a point of clarity and a point of openness, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I love what you said about showing up for yourself, because when people will call me and say, thank you so much, I feel so much better. And I say, no, thank you for showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right. It doesn't work if they don't show up for themselves, if they're not present to the possibility.
Right. Well, what's the adage? You can bring someone to water, but you can't make them drink. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So the same thing with this. If you want to get better, if you really, really have a desire to get over whatever hurdle you have in front of us, we all have things that we need to tackle. And there's a reason. That's one of the reasons why we're here. We're here to experience that and make a choice. We always have a choice. We have a choice to stay stuck. We have a choice to move forward. So I choose to move forward. That's just, what my choice is. And there's nothing wrong with staying stuck. But as long as you acknowledge that that's where you want to be, in that comfy zone. I'm better moving forward because I know that the next version of me, I'm excited to see. So that's what you get by moving forward and getting out of your comfort zone. And that's what you and I do. We kind of tap people gently and we go along with them, but we keep them out of their comfort zone, because that's where you're going to see the most growth, don't you think?
Absolutely. One of my most amazing mentors, the beautiful Michelle Alva, she says there's lots of SHIT that happens in life, right?
Yeah.
And we can either sit in it or we can turn it into fertilizer.
Yeah.
And so when we turn it into fertilizer, there's all sorts of new possibilities, right? Like everything then becomes an opportunity instead of that hurdle that you get stuck on. It becomes something that you can then get up and get over.
Yeah. And I love that. You're also a follower. You're inspired by a similar person I am, Brené Brown. Oh my goodness. Powerhouse, very positive. Just looks at life the way we all should be taught to look at life. And all the stuff that you and I know now, wouldn't you have loved to have that information when you were back at 20?
Oh my gosh, if I could talk to that poor girl.
Right?
All of that stuff that I was living with, all of those emotions I was making decisions from, all of that. I say all the time, like when I was little, I was told, oh, you're too sensitive. You cry too much.
Oh my gosh, me too.
And now I'm like, that's my freaking superpower.
Yes, yes.
That's why I feel everything, and that allows me to continue to move forward. I don't let anything stick. I feel it all.
Yes, me too. And it's so funny because when I was little, I would hear the same thing. You're too sensitive. You cry too much. And I am very sensitive, and I like that element about me because that feels to me like what humans should be, is being sensitive to other people. But I would take on their feelings as well. So if someone was having a hard time, I'd actually feel that pain, and it was very painful. And I finally discovered out why, because when I was little, I was 23 months old and I had a younger sister who was in the world for 5 hours. She was the fifth child, and she passed away at 5:55. Go figure. Numbers are a big thing for me. So those were all angel numbers, without a doubt. She came and made her mark. She really left a big mark on our family. And my oldest brother named his daughter after her. And I don't know if this was knowingly, my second brother became a neonatologist, which is a baby doctor under 5 pounds, which she was. So I'm wondering if that was influence. And I was always wondering, what that must have been like for me at 23 months old, mom and dad having lost a baby, and I was looking for that attention. So, when you look back at things like that, it really makes a lot of sense, the path that my life took. And it makes a lot of sense why I do what I do. And all the tools I learned along the way help me right now help other people not have to go through some of the things I did.
Yes. Yes, it's a gift now to be an empath. It's a gift to be able to hold space for people.
Yeah, and it's my superpower, like you said. It's a superpower. It's awesome. Yeah. My superpower is actually helping people find their purpose, and
love it.
And that's the process that I go through, similar to the energy work that you do. Now, so when people come in and they have these chronic pains, I'm a huge believer in acupuncture. I love cupping, and that was funny because I was very resistant to cupping when it first happened. I was like, no, I don't like this. And they were like, try it one more time. And I'm glad I did, because the second time it was so much better. And I love acupuncture because it opens all the meridians. And I find after I have acupuncture, when I do my meditations, I have answers come to me while I'm meditating.
So cool. The subconscious is just, because if our physical body is actually a manifestation of our subconscious mind. So if we clear our physical body, the subconscious can start to come up and release and process.
It is so intriguing to me how this all works, and I don't understand it on a scientific level, but I do understand it on an intuitive level. So from a scientific level, help us understand it.
Yes, and I will do my best, because it is it's one of those things where your head could explode before you understood it. You know what I mean?
I do.
But it's one of those things where they're starting to realize, like I said, in the field of quantum physics and in neuroplasticity, that our body, every tissue has the ability to heal. It has that inherent inner knowing of what to do. It's just about having the right environment, right? So like we said, our cells and everything adapts to the environment that it's in. So if it's constantly under stress and it's constantly, inflamed or trying to filter toxins from food or our environment, then it's always going to be in a breakdown type of phase. It's always going to be sort of that inflamed, sort of catabolic breakdown.
Sure.
So the idea is that we want to build new cells and healthy cells, but we have to give it the right environment, right? We have to give it the relaxation response. We have to elicit the parasympathetic nervous system where we actually have that rest and repair. We have to get good sleep. We have to breathe. I can't believe how many people don't know how to breathe.
Yeah. It's true.
You know what I mean? Like you say, breathe from your belly, and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm a singer, so I understand. I breathe from the diaphragm, but it's true. I see a lot of people shallow breathing, and I was just like, just take a deep breath, just take a moment. You don't have to rush it. And it's real important to re-energize in our bodies. This is why we shed the cells. We get rid of the dead cells and we rejuvenate and get new cells. That's what we need to do with our emotions as well. We need to let the bad ones go, maybe figure it out if we can, and then try to replace it with really positive, good emotions. The bad emotions are there to distract us, as far as I'm concerned. The good emotions are there of why we're supposed to be here. Life is supposed to be joyous, fun, and easy, and it can be if you approach it that way, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't believe in surviving every day until we die. I think we're here on purpose. I think we have a greater divine reason that we're here.
Absolutely.
And like you said, all we can do as these type of professionals is be the light, be what we want to see in the world. And I think that that's an amazing opportunity and responsibility. And I love meeting people like you who just shine so beautifully. Oh,
right back at you, Melissa. You're just amazing. So if you want more information, you want to reach out to Melissa. It's Melissa Golde, Golde, DPT. That's DavidPeterThomas.com. Or you can catch her on social media at Embody Love to Heal. Just amazing energy. So in the last couple of minutes, what is your why?
My why? I love that question, and I hate it all at the same time. I feel like that's being totally transparent, because I feel sometimes like it's almost inauthentic. So I'll speak directly from my heart. I believe, personally and professionally, that I'm here to hold space for people to heal when they don't believe that they can. And I feel like there's just so much possibility in the world. And I think there's so much beauty and so much love and so much energy. And if we can emit that and we can radiate that we have the opportunity to create really global change. And I know that sounds super esoteric and, out there, but I believe that we're all one, and we all started from the same place, and that if every time that we come into contact with someone, or every time I meet somebody, I can make them smile, or I can make them laugh, or I can make them feel a little bit better that day, I believe that we're changing the collective.
I totally agree with you. I don't think it's overblown at all. I think it's that's a beautiful sentiment. I believe absolutely the same thing. And the universe told us that through this pandemic, that we're all of the same energy. We all can be affected by something. And it showed us how, because we kept doubting it. And it just said, okay, well, let me prove it to you. And gave us an opportunity to elevate and look at it as a gift, even though, some of the effects are not good. And it's the yin and the yang of everything in life. You have the good and the bad, and it nestles together to create greatness. That we actually identified that there are only good people and bad people in the world. Everything else is just the same. There are good people and bad people. Everything else makes us just human. So that's what I look to do. And thank you so much, Melissa, for being on. I would love to have you back. I'm getting killed with questions that we just don't have time for. So I'd love to bring you back and ask you all these questions, a lot of energy questions, and how maybe some direct questions on how maybe some people can connect with you and have conversations and maybe not feel as much pain. There's nothing to fear. Life is really good. You got to find the joy. Thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. My heart is so lifted by sharing this time with you. Time is so limited, and that you take the time to share it with us is just a gift to us, and we really do appreciate it. So again, I'm going to remind you, it takes 21 days to build a habit. Find something to build that habit with, maybe a meditation, go to an energy healer, 90 days to build a lifestyle. In the meantime, thank you for joining us on Healthy Lifestyle. I am Lori Anne Casdia. Until next time, play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you, and show up big.